There's some comps you can play, but mages just doesn't feel like one of them. Like, you also want like a DK later. So I'm queuing, hope I get you. Okay, okay. I mean, you guys should all join in. I like it when I'm in the same game as you guys. Assassin Splash seems legit. Yeah, now that it's up to 30%. I think the Assassin change is kind of interesting. So we can talk about Assassin change. So before it was at 3, the numbers were a 20% DPS increase, and at 6 it was 60%. And now at 3 it's 30%, and at 6 it's 75%. And I think immediately a lot of people look at that and they're like, oh, let's go 6 Assassins. I think 6 Assassins are kind of even worse because of this change, if that makes sense. Did you just bait me? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you guys queue when I didn't? Oh, damn it. Guys, I'm really sorry. Okay, so about the Assassin changes. I think that a lot of people look at these changes and say, ooh, 6 Assassins. Spicy. The problem is, if 3 Assassins are even more betterer, then 6 Assassins, there's kind of less of a necessity to even want to go 6 Assassins. So, like, I mean, it just seems like this is a buff to 3 Assassins. Comps that run 3 Assassins, Scrappy 3 Assassin, you know, Primordial Mage 3 Assassin, anything that runs 3 Assassins feels okay. But it feels like there's arguably even less reason to go to 6 now, because 3 is, you know, more betterer. I still think 6 Assassin is just not really a winner here. You can't have that much of your comp be DPS, you know? You need frontline. You only want like between 1 and 3 of your units to actually be like single target damage DPS. Shamans just run 6 Assassins as I see it. Why would you run 6 Assassins and Shamans? Oh, Shamans just ruin 6 Assassins. Yeah, sure. I mean, 6 Assassins is just a fundamentally bad build, and it always has been. Like, you just have too much percentage of your team is dedicated to like damage. You need more defense than offense. You want to have like 2/3 of your comp be like a defensive shell, and like approximately like 2 units should be like your DPS in the back. 6 Assassin is good with 3 target buddies. It is okay. I will say, the buff to 6 Assassins is the fact that you can buy frontline in the form of target buddies and to a greater degree tombstones. Maybe target buddy and tombstone is actually a okay buff to 6 Assassins, because if you get a target buddy on round 3 and if you get a tombstone on like round 25, suddenly that's kind of a frontline you can fit in. But even in that case, you're maybe better off going 3. What about 6 Assassin, 6 Elusive? You can't really design a 10 unit comp. That's kind of the most important thing. Like when people are kind of defining what it means to be a comp, they mean 8 units or sometimes like 9, right? Like, a comp is never 10 units. You can have like a 6 Elusive, 3 Assassin comp, and then maybe you could see some weird thing where at the end of the game you transition into 6 Elusive, 6 Assassin, but you're never going to want to do that either, because at that point of the game you just want to run like some amount of team fighters. Like, a comp really has to be about 8 units, possibly 9. Why does he say 30% at 60% when it's 15 and 25? I'm referring to the DPS increase on the Assassin perk overall. So it used to be 20 and 60, and now it's 30 and 75% DPS increase off the crit chance when you like math it out. Okay, so we hit snow. It's another minus 130. Dude, we lost so much MMR off that last loss. That's so crazy. I think I have to lock this. It's just Veno double bat, I guess. Oh, so someone baited 3 of us last time? Yeah, my bad, guys. My bad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. How would one run warriors in current patch? I like 3 warriors with Doom, Tide, Kunkka, typically. But sometimes you can like find a Troll Warlord at the end to replace one of them. And there's some select scenarios where you can run Slardar instead of either Doom or Kunkka to pair scaled with Tide as well. Slardar's kind of okay. Yeah. I know that some people are excited about 6. I still just don't like 6. I think that the opportunity cost of running 6 warriors is too high. I think it's just silly to be running. I mean, even at 20 armor, like, the armor falls off. I don't know. It's just not an incredibly powerful concept. It's just like dedicating 6 of your slots to something is really, really rigid, and you just don't have enough room to run the other things you want. Like, you want to be in 4 warlocks, you want to have like good team fight stuff. The problem with 6 warriors is that you run trash units. Yeah, basically. I mean, compared to good stuff, every comp has to run trash units, right? Like, I mean, you could say the same about, like, Six Knights even in this meta. Like, Six Knights has to run, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess something like Batrider is still a better unit than, like, some of the Warriors, but you have to run some Knights that can only really be good when you 3-star them. Omni and Abba are good when you 3-star them. So we can go Bat Ab on round 3. That's not bad. Yeah, I have to be okay with that. I mean, even if we just find like a Pudge, it's still good. If we find a CK, it's good. I don't want to stay in Knights this entire game, but the Singleton Veno not having any value, it's not like we're getting any value out of Venomancer. So it's the rare situation we're in round 3. We are looking at a board where we only have 2 units and no bench. 6 Warriors might be decent if you have Juggernaut Axe early. I think Axe is a garbage unit. I would, if you have a Juggernaut too early, then you can go 6 Warriors maybe, and you can link Brawny with Disruptor later. But Axe is just a trash unit. Like, you run him in Brawny because Brawny is kind of OP if good stuff isn't, but if good stuff's OP, then, like, every comp is just bad. Right? I mean, I think right now, I would say right now that good stuff is, like, a tier better than any actual comp. There are 6 good warriors, though? What are the 6 good warriors? I mean, when you're saying good, you're comparing them to, like, top-tier team fighters, right? Or, like, top-tier value units. Like, you're comparing them to legendaries like Disruptor, like the Shaman pair with Enigma Shaman. Like, you know, 4 Warlock with the new Disruptor. Even, like, you know, some, like, high DPS units like Terrorblade Anti-Mage. It's just, like, so hard to fit in so many things if you're on 6 Warriors. Pudge, Tide, Kunkka, Doom, Slardar, Warlord. I mean, Slardar has a valuable tag, but he's a shit unit outside of that tag. And Pudge also has a valuable tag, but he's also a shit unit outside of that tag. I mean, I shouldn't say shit per se, but when you compare them to, like, the opportunity cost, right? Like, when you compare them to what those units are preventing you from buying instead, they are shit units, right? Three-star Slardar with Mom is kind of good. I mean, is it? It's not, like, if you have a Mom, you can put that Mom on something else. Like, the Slardar is never getting better because it has the Mom. It's just potentially transferring your Mom's value from one unit to another, right? Like, if you have a Mom, you have Mom value. Your Mom doesn't make your Slardar better. It's, you know, your Slardar that might make your Mom a little bit better, but that's it, right? And then, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you 3-star anything, it's okay, but that doesn't really make Slardar a better unit, right? And it has 2k HP still? Yeah, sure. And you have the armor, but I mean, when I say good, I don't mean how hard it punches. Like, it's about, like, what you're comparing it to, and it just falls off. Level 3 dependent is another word for trash? Right, exactly. And, like, item dependent is also the same thing. Like, you can say in a certain scenario, this thing is good. I mean, sure, but if we're narrowing down a range to specific scenarios, anything can be good. Of course. That's just kind of what it means to be a weak strategy, is scenario dependent, right? They're synonyms. So Pudge is pretty good here. Gives me more frontline, and Pair is Heartless. Severely underrating armor reduction from Slardar ability. I mean, I like Slardar, and I like his ability. I'm comparing him to the best units in the game. He is not better than the best units in the game. You can't run the best units in the game if you're running Slardar instead in that slot. That's all I'm saying. Like, he's cute, he can win boards, he can win fights, but he is not better than the best units in the game. And right now, the problem with the meta is that the probability skew and the fact that Disruptor and Enigma exist in the way they do means the best units in the game are more accessible than they should be, which increases, you know, the opportunity cost, right? Swim, please stand up and spin around. I can't. I'm not wearing any pants. I mean, I don't even really like Terrorblade that... Dude, this guy's got 3 Terrorblades already. Monka. Okay. Let's make sure that we're good against this board. Right, it looks like we are. We just need Warrior Ace for sure. Sure, if there's like a Warrior Ace, maybe. I mean, right now, I like the Ace mechanic, and I like the contraption mechanics. If you want my 2 cents on this patch, it's very straightforward. The long-term implications of this patch are good. Ace... The concept of Ace units is healthy for the game in the long term, and the concept of contraptions is neat. I think the implementation of both in the current meta is flawed. I think contraptions are imbalanced right now. I'm not saying like some of them are overpowered. I'm like, I think it's kind of overstated how strong Target Dummy is. He's okay. It's really about like the healing word and the barricade being super weak. Barricade might have some options, but you know, I mean, you have some things that are very weak and some things that feel a little strong compared to those. Sell Batrider. I think I sell Batrider here, right? I mean, if we're not in Knights, we can't be in Batrider, and I don't think we can be in Knights because I think I just want to go good stuff. I just want to hit like a win streak, econ points, good stuff transition, right? We just hit the top streaker. We knocked the streak down, preserved their own, and hit 19 gold while he's at 14, so we're just good. So basically, my general idea of the patch is like the design concept for the game moving forward is good, but it takes a flawed meta and it makes it arguably worse. And like the way contraptions work in their current form needs to be tweaked as well, just from a balance perspective. So the greedy play is selling both of these and trying to streak on this round. I am supposed to level here. I really am supposed to level here. I mean, the streak is just too valuable. Is the second Batrider worth more than a second Witch Doctor, actually? Artifact had good long-term implications too. Yeah, that's true. I did say similar things about artifacts. How would you change the ace probability? I mean, I'd probably increase it, and they probably will, right? So the part of the reason that the concept of ace is a good design concept is because they've introduced this higher probability of getting the unit that you want, which means they can tweak that number. And what that means is as they add more ace units to the game, which this allows them to do because of the higher probability of finding the one you're looking for and making them synergistic, you can increase the probability of finding the ones you're looking for as you add more ace units to the game. And this allows you to give underdeveloped alliances, like for example, someone was saying like as soon as warriors get an ace, they'll be good. Sure, you can make like a warrior ace. You can take, I mean, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna do this, by the way. Like this, everything points to it, right? Like where they took like the 9 ofs and made them, the 9 ofs are not a thing anymore. Like 9 elusives, 9 assassins, 9 warriors don't exist anymore. They're replacing them with aces. So they're gonna take a warrior, an assassin, an elusive, one of those categories, probably turn it into an ace unit. I mean, this might happen in like 2 weeks from now. Like where they take like Mirana and make her like the ace of elusives, and then, you know, maybe they add in back what the, you know, Alliance Globals were, or something like that in some form, kind of like how Medusa has Retaliate, or something new and original, but they'll probably have aces for like not every alliance maybe, but like almost every alliance. And if they increase the probability on getting the one you're looking for, they can totally do that. Underlords will be a huge balance change too. Sure. They should do that to TA and not my Mirana. Yeah, maybe. This is a pretty shit pack. I guess we have to take Arcane Boots. Arcane Boots aren't terrible. And like I said, like the long-term implications of this patch are great. Like the balance concept, or not balance concept, the design concept of aces is very good. The design concept of contraptions is very good. Implementation of both in terms of how it affects the current meta is C+? I don't know. It's not great. I'll give it a C+. But that's fine. I mean, their focus isn't and shouldn't be the current meta, right? Their focus should be like designing mechanics that like are better for the game moving forward, especially because it's in a beta. Like, I mean, I think as they add these kinds of things that I'm talking about, and smoothing out the meta is like something that's easy to do, right? All they have to do is like lower the odds of tier 4s, or maybe bring back auto blacklisting, or make tier 4s like a little bit weaker, or make them less team fighter, or make them more synergy dependent. I mean, there's so many different things you can do, you know, and then, you know, good stuff is just worse. It's easy to balance. Design is a lot harder than balance. Like in game design, the first step is to make a design that is balanceable, and then you balance it after that, right? That's like your two-step process, if that makes sense. So like, for example, the old concept of legendaries instead of ace units was not a concept that was balanceable. By their design identity, they were always going to be either too weak or too strong, right? So in this patch, they have made legendaries and, you know, I think just more things moving forward, it's more balanceable, even though it's not really super what I would call balanced right now. Uh-oh, 4 steps got me. This pop is not going to be big enough. Man, my penis. Kale broke my penis. Wah. I mean, we're still on a pretty good streak. I can't really complain. We don't have like a super good board. I shouldn't really be expecting to hit like an omega value streak here. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I should be hitting this interest point probably. I probably just want to transition into the same stuff every time. This patch feels like adjusting the last meta, which focused on 3 stars, which ended with a large focus on staying 7 and 8 to have the best probability for tier 1 and 2 units. That's like a week ago, dude. Like more than a week ago. Like people haven't really been 3-starring that many units in the past like week. Like the patch to tier 4 odds pushed a good stuff meta. But sure, I mean, this one pushes the good stuff meta harder. Like, levels are more important. Absolutely. So we can go 4 knights, I think. I have no problem being on, like, 4 knights right now. I'd rather have, like, CK over Luna. Is 4 knights even better than Heartless? I think it probably is. I'd rather like stall the fights down. There's 3 streakers here. Suddenly my board is probably not that good. I think we probably have like the 3rd best board in this lobby right now. Maybe even 4th. Yeah, I mean this guy just smashes us. He's got a Terrorblade too. This is the guy that had Terrorblade 2 super early. He had this Terrorblade paired on... Wow, it's very contested. He had this Terrorblade paired on like round... Or sorry, Terrorblade completed around like 7 or 8 or something. I think being punished for leveling is something they want to avoid, but not make it a must. Being punished for leveling? Yeah, I mean it's kind of hard right now. Feels like leveling is a little too powerful. Less people 3-starring actually makes it harder for you to 3-star as well. Yep, it does actually. That's exactly right. And that's why, like, sometimes these
Alexa,
things can have
play
snowball effects.
Despacito.
Yo, what's up, Grey Mao? How's it going, buddy? Thanks for the host. I have a question. If you have 2 shamans in your bench, does it increase the odds of getting Enigma? Yep, it should. As far as testing has shown, yes, it does. That's how ASOS work. Alright, this is it. Ace tier heroes and contraptions. The patch. Ready, guys? You guys have already read this, so it's not actually hype for you. Alright, contraptions. Contraptions are placeable items. Contraptions, when on the board, behave like regular units. You can drag them around and they affect gameplay in combat. Contraptions do not count against the unit cap. That's interesting. I guess we'll actually see what they are later. Aces. Tier 5 units are now called aces. Each is the capstone of its associated alliance. Each ace unit, in addition to its regular abilities, offers a new ace effect that is enabled when you have at least one level of its associated alliance. Okay. When at least one level of that alliance is enabled, when an ace unit appears in the shop, the odds of it being the ace unit associated with that alliance is increased by 15%. So basically, it's the same thing as legendaries, but they're synergy based, which I think is really good. Like, I think this is a good change for the game. I think the biggest problem with legendaries for the longest time is they weren't synergy based. And I think that I like that you're more likely to find the ones that hit the synergies you're looking for. That makes a lot of sense. We'll have to see exactly how they implement it, because there could be stuff that needs tweaks, we'll see. But I think this is the biggest thing. The problem with legendaries for so long, and this is like where good stuff meta comes from, it's a big design problem that the legendaries were just not really high synergy cards, right? So, for example, stuff like Medusa and Troll, like obviously they have alliances, but they have weak alliances, right? Like Scaled is powerful, but you only want to pair it, right? So you pair Medusa Tidehunter, they're both teamfighter, they're both scaled, and then you just like run a bunch of things all the way down, right? You don't actually play, you know, there's no like Knight in, you know, legendaries, right? There's nothing that you actually want to play for high synergies. There's Lich, if you want to be on like 6 mages or something, but most of the legendaries had weak alliances. Now they're incentivizing you more so to fit them into actual synergies, I guess. And I guess we'll have to see what the actual changes are down there. These are the two biggest changes, but it looks like if we're just going down, we're not going to see that yet. Improvements to the friend UI. Nobody cares. Remove UI. You can see the next level's odds of finding a particular hero. Sure. Unit status panel notices correct armor values during combat. Cool. Speculative fix for anti-mage, sometimes not doing speculative fix. Improvements to AI pathing. Oh, the pathing. Thank God. Okay. Bloodseeker. Alliance changed from human assassin to human Deadeye assassin. Bloodseeker is now a Deadeye. So this is really interesting. So in the early game, you can run like Bloodseeker plus Sniper, and Bloodseeker will attack the weakest health unit and just like go off. That's a potentially big upgrade. It is. Maybe something like Scrappy's Assassins makes more sense. Like level 3 Bounty Hunter in Scrappy's. If you get the Gyrocopter later anyway, it's like you use Bounty Hunter plus Sniper in the early game, and then in the late game you get out of Sniper and get into Gyro, because you only want to be in 4 Scrappies anyway. You know, Scrappy Assassins, there's some links there. It ends up making some sense. Or you can just run like normal. I don't know. It's interesting. I suspect it's not going to be the biggest deal. I suspect Bloodseeker's still going to be kind of bad. But, you know, maybe not. Maybe not. He would keep changing targets and wander around. Yeah, that's the one interesting thing about this. The other two Deadeyes are ranged, right? And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the way Deadeye works is you do have the ability to change attacks if between attacks another new lower health unit gets lower. And now that Bloodseeker is here and he's melee, that's actually kind of awkward for it. Because in theory, unless they made him actually stick on targets, then Bloodseeker might literally just run back and forth, which is kind of bad. But he's a fast runner, so maybe it's actually okay. Because he does want to be on something that's attacking, that's something that's lower health. I'll definitely have to try Bloodseeker 2 and Sniper 2 early, you know? I mean, if you find something like a helm for a Bloodseeker 2-star, find a Sniper for it. Sounds good. Why the hell not? Bounty Hunter. Oh, the bounty buff we were all waiting for. Plus 5 attack damage. Plus 10 attack damage on the minimum. That's an average of plus 7.5 attack damage. That is 1/4 of a Claymore you are getting for free. Garbage unit. Disruptor. Draft tier changed from 4 to Ace. Oh, so they're making Disruptor a legendary. Draft tier changed from 4 to Ace for the Warlock Alliance. Alliance has changed from Brawny Shaman Warlock to Brawny Warlock, so now there's only 3 Shamans in the game. Maximum health up 200. So now Disruptor level 1 is kind of like more so something you can have in the front line at 900 health. Before it's like you needed to 2-star him. 700 was just a little bit too low. But now 900, it's getting to the point where you can maybe frontline a level 1 Disruptor. We'll see. Attack damage minimum. Up by 9 and 10. That's an increase of 9.5 damage per attack. Disruptor hits like a truck. Ace effect. The effect of the Warlock Alliance is now applied to 2 units in addition to the Warlock itself rather than 1 unit. Which means you're getting 50% more lifesteal. So you would think that, in theory, this is a 50% increase on the power of Warlocks. And I think it's quite a bit more than that, right? Because it'll link to the 2 lowest health units. And the link to the Warlock itself was usually less important than the link to the other unit. So I think it's about twice as strong, instead of more like a 50% increase. That's a pretty big deal, by the way. They're trying to make Disruptor like less of an auto-include, because it's a legendary now, but I mean, giving it this Ace effect, I mean, this is pretty insane. This is pretty good. Okay, Enigma. Ace for the Shaman Alliance. Ace effect extends the effects of the Shaman Alliance to your entire army. What the fuck? So there's only 3 Shamans in the game now, right? It's Enigma. Disruptor's not a Shaman, which is a big nerf to Shamans. So now it's just Enigma, Shadow Shaman, and Arc Warden. And this is a big deal, because before, the reason Shamans were good was because you kind of only had to run 1 bad Shaman. Now, you have to run 2. You have to run Enigma and Shadow Shaman? You only need 2 Shamans now? No, never mind. Guys, okay, we'll get to that later. You guys are allowed to spoil me for stuff that's relevant to what I'm saying, because I don't want to talk like a fool. This is interesting, though. So you only need the Alliance pair. Arc Warden's still very good. So Shamans are still decent. If you just get Arc Warden and Enigma, your entire team just has a 1 in 6 chance to chicken any attacker? Dude, what the fuck? Really? That's it? That's all you need? It's 10% now? Okay. But still. Okay, interesting. I mean, Arc Warden's still kind of auto-includey as far as I've seen, so you kind of only need the Enigma for this. We'll see. Gyrocopter. Ace for the Deadeye Alliance. Grants Deadeye units 2 strike, which means they cannot miss. Which is pretty shit. Obviously, like, you can look at that and you can be like, wow, I can counter the elusives. The biggest thing is you go through Disruptor's Static Cloud. I mean, what other mischances are there even? Riki's not in the game. It's just like the Static Cloud and elusives, right? Am I forgetting one thing? Because that's a pretty weak Ace effect. Like, compared to the other 2. Vanguard? Does Vanguard have a mischance now? What the heck? Wait a second. The birds? Oh, right. You'll have the easiest round 25 creep round of your life with this Ace effect. Okay. Lich. Ace for the Mage Alliance. Your army's mana generation from attacks is increased by 10% per Mage Alliance level. That sounds pretty weak. It's just... Okay, it's not on the level of, like, the Warlock one. Because 10%, most of your mana generation comes from taking damage and from Crystal Maiden. 10% per Mage Alliance level, which means if you're in 3 mages, you get 1/10 of a Void Stone, 1/10 of a Brooch of the Aggressor per attacker, which is not very good. Brooch of the Aggressor is already like, it's okay, but 1/10 of it per attacker? 6 mages? 20%? I don't think it's really that good. Don't get me wrong, Lich is still a good hero, and you still will use this, just because if you're in mages, and if you find Lich, you will buy Lich, you will put it in your team, and you'll be like, oh, I guess I have 10% now. But it's not like it's not insane. Where something like the Warlock one, I mean, this will just win you fights. God, Disruptor's so broken. Could be better than it seems, IMO. I could see it being a bit better than it seems. I think it's pretty bad, though. Medusa. Ace for the Scaled Alliance. Attack range changed to 3. Ooh. That's a pretty big deal. That means she can no longer